refugees were heading towards our city, which meant more houses and infrastructure would be needed in order to accommodate them. There was also the reason why they were rushing here in the first place. With automatic prototyping completed. Next was the matter of improved coal mining. Yes. To heat the areas that would require more heat, such as, where houses would be built. There would be a need for more coal to fuel that fire. And there were 3 ways that I was aware of to provide that. 3 ways to keep the people from freezing to death. Either gather it quicker, insulate the buildings to keep the heat in better, or make certain constructions more efficient at the use of the fuel source. As in, making them produce the same results for less fuel. Yes, temporary gathering centres would be a quite useful thing to have. And as for the advanced coal mine, with which the design is being worked on, a foreman assigned in each would make that a little faster. Well, we could use that extra time to conduct more research. As for the cookhouse, the second one was not needed at this time. Mostly because there wasn't enough raw food to warrant it. And it was at this point a huge crowd had reached our city. Many of them were sick. They say that some kind of enormous weather anomaly is coming our way, and they'll die without our help. They also spoke of Polar Explorer Nansen. I let them all in. I made sure that preparations were made before they arrived. It did not exactly overwhelm our medical facilities, and for that, I was most thankful. There was also an abundance of food, although to establish an outpost elsewhere, I would need to have another outpost depot constructed. There's only one more place that could be built. And while I was at it, some more space could be constructed, or rather heated up so that it was safer to construct it. As far as frostbite was concerned, the best way to deal with that was to make sure it didn't happen at all. Yes, taking measures to prevent a problem was often more effective than dealing with the problem when it happened. Less costly in lives and resources overall. And yes, there is a difference. And not a moment too soon. As for what to research next, greater yields, that would be nice, although a factory is long overdue. Yes, one of those would be most welcome. Along with upgraded mining facilities.
Workday end. It's time for rest.
that gathering post had served its purpose. Well, we could use that space for other things, like more housing for any refugees that might appear. And the road to the outpost depot and construction sites would need to be established before it was constructed proper. And it wouldn't hurt to have some heat. The question was... well, there was no question. If I wanted space over there, it would need to be cleared. The quickest way is to build around the frozen trees, though that would be a waste of resources. Any race that there was would be a race against time. Although with more to work with, there would be more resources coming in. And with the coal mines being as advanced as I could think of, well, I doubted very much that they would be improving any farther in the more immediate future. The coal thumpers, on the other hand, there was still room for improvement there. And then another group of refugees was noticed on the horizon. I sent the nearest scout party to intercept them. Similar proportions to the previous group. Regardless, it was affordable at this point. To expand the heat zone through steam hubs. Well, I would need to anyway, in order to accommodate those that were arriving. I would need 7 more houses, just as before. Along with as many child shelters as needed. Yes, shelters that would provide education. Much of it in engineering, although other subjects would be taught. Well, it was nice to have a varied amount of subjects for education. Not many in the old order would be able to say that they were well educated. Largely because they weren't. And in this case, the education of the children, regardless of background, was what primarily mattered. The fact that it resulted in faster research, that was simply a byproduct. Something that was a result of what's done. The whole point of all this was to make sure that everything was, overall, at least, better than what came before. As for the second outpost, I decided that more coal would be more useful. with more arriving, it was important to have everything ready for them. That included having enough to feed them long term, which required another industrial hothouse. I would need to anyway, to make sure that the amount being prepared wouldn't be less than the amount consumed, as the amount that would need the food would increase with the amount of refugees that would arrive.
Order, people. Let's march to work.
While preparations for the second group of refugees were made, I could not get that thought of the weather anomaly out of my head. latest industrial hothouse had none to work in it. But by the time this day was over, that would no longer be a problem. Yes, some frozen trees would be destroyed in the construction of a second drill, but that would come in handy once a second automaton is constructed. It made me consider researching the charcoal kiln. At some point, before this weather anomaly reached us. As for what to research next, it would not be that. It would be researching a less resource-intensive way of constructing automatons. Yes. When we had steam cores spare, automatons could be constructed. And they would make working on certain things much more efficient. In fact, they could be made to run more